Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's your T-shirted historian. It's good to see you guys. Oh, man. Will problems never cease? I've had all kinds of hiccups and glitches and problems, both internally and externally, the last few times we've had the show. Or tried to have the show, I should say. So I do apologize for those. But hopefully we're back on track and we continue putting out our 2-show-a-week series, just like we always do. In any case, thank y'all for being with us today, and we really do appreciate you. We've got some pretty cool folks with us today. So let me say how this got started. Animane, who I'm in constant contact with, hits me up out of the blue and he says, hey, T-shirt, I got these guys who are starting a comic book. They're kickstarting a comic book. And they need a little bit of promotion. I said, sure. Because, even though we are primarily gamers and we like to write, we write games, we play games, and things like that. We're also a pop culture channel. So we do movies, we do TV shows, and we do comic books. And the comic book industry lately has been kind of a disappointment, really. I mean, if you're a fan of the big two, obviously. Should I even say big three? Is Image even a thing anymore? Are they actually big enough to be considered a third comic book title publisher anymore? Are they still even being competitive with Marvel and DC? I really don't know. I haven't kept up with them because honestly, they're not putting out anything I want to read, just like Marvel and DC. And that's the problem. It's been a long time since I've read a lot of really good comics. It's been a long time since I've seen any titles that come out that just really grab me to make me want to read comics. Every once in a while, I will catch a project on Kickstarter that, looks kind of interesting, and I'll fund it and pay my $5 to $10 and get a decent comic book out of it. And that's usually been worth it for me. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like the comic book industry is just not what it was, 15, 20 years ago. Certainly growing up and hitting the comic book stores all the time, we of course had the big two, and at that time Image was fighting for some of that space as well, so it was glutted with tons of Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld covers. So we had all those things to contend with, all reaching for our attention. We also had Valiant Verse, which had a few good things. And then it had some other stuff like Plasm and Dark Horse comics, which were actually some of my favorites growing up because I liked a lot of the Dark Horse titles. And then there was the rest of the shop, kind of hidden away back behind everything else, which was all the independent titles. We had stuff back there like Grips. We had stuff back there like Geriatric Gangrene Jiu-Jitsu Gerbils. Yes, it's a real title. We had We had all the British titles, all the 2080 comic books and Slain the Berserker and all those other things. And just pretty much all the titles that were, maybe 2 or 3 copies of, and they were kind of first come, first serve. Maybe if you were lucky enough to get there first, you got them. If you didn't, you were just SOL. And I almost kind of think that's back where I think the comic book landscape has kind of shifted now. It almost seems like it's almost all homogenous at this point. There is no shelves in the back anymore. It's all the independent titles are kind of on the same level as the big 2, the big 3, whatever you want to call it. Because, frankly, I think manga has taken so much thrust out of American comic books that most people are looking at manga titles over American comic book titles. And that's not to say anything bad about manga. I like manga. I collect manga, certainly. I bought every copy of Berserk they had. I'm still buying Fist of the North Star. Occasionally I'll see something that'll get my attention in manga and snap that up. But it just feels different than what it used to. The Japanese comic books back when I was growing up were very rare, very few, very far between. There was only a couple of publishers that were putting anything out, like Viz. And, there was Antarctic Press that was trying to fight its way into some kind of mainstream comic book, hands. And I think they still are. I think they're still around. They're over in Lubbock, if I recall, or Austin, maybe. And I don't know. I think the Kickstarting market has kind of changed up a lot of the landscape and has changed it up even more. Obviously, people aren't really buying subscriptions. I don't know how the big 2 managed to survive. Putting out their stories every month that nobody really wants to read. I think they just coast by on the popularity of their characters, and that's about it. And you have 21 Batman titles out there, and all anybody knows is Batman, then, sure, you're going to sell a few Batman comic books. If, you just put out a new Spider-Man movie or something, and you have like 3 or 4 Spider-Man comic books out there and nobody knows anything, yeah, they're just going to grab one of those. The really invested comic book buyers, I think, have already chosen not to keep buying. I don't even know if there are comic book speculators at this point just buying stuff in order to, hope that the market will increase and then they'll be able to sell their comic books for high value. I certainly got into the comic book speculating back in the 90s, and I'm currently feeling the burn from it because I've got tons of 90s comic books that are virtually worthless. They were overproduced, they were oversold. 52 different covers doesn't make your title more valuable. It just means there's 52 different titles out there, and nobody really cares about the covers unless they just happen to have one out there that you like. So, getting back to what we were talking about today, and I see these up-and-coming Kickstarter guys with their comic books, I'm always happy to put a show on and get them a little bit of hype, hopefully get them a few sales, and get some word out on what they're doing, because I would like to see the indie comic book scene become stronger. I'd like to see it become more competitive. I'd like to see it kick the big 2 off their thrones. I really would. If there is a third place market for comic books out there, I'd like it to be taken away from Image, and I'd like it to go to the indies. I'd like the Kickstarter market guys to be able to do full-time publishing. That would be awesome. Because in a way, that's kind of my dream too, is, maybe to one day become a full-time game publisher. But in order to do that, of course, you have to play the game and get on with one of the big studios. And right now, the biggest studio, of course, is Wizards of the Coast. And it's the same thing with comic book markets. the only big guaranteed sales are going to be the big two. So when I see little independent comic book creators struggling to put out their comic books, I'm always happy to help, and I always will be. So let's take a look at what we got today. My fellow Weekend Geeker, Grim.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
All right. The British comics is what I know, so I don't know how useful I'll be today.
Well, all my comic book people are not here today, so this will be interesting. And so here's our guest today. We have Hero Geek and Neostar Productions.
Hello,
you guys actually
everybody.
have names?
Yeah, my real name is Ronald, but I'm known as Hero Geek on social media. So
Okay.
And I'm Stefan Kirkpatrick of Neostar Productions. Name actually came from when I attempted to make this a production. But, best laid plans and stuff.
Hey, that's the way it goes. I'm glad you guys are trying, though. I really am. So,
yeah. I mean, do you have questions or?
I definitely have questions. I have lots of questions.
Great.
Okay. So, right. So obviously, I've already given you some of my background as far as a comic book nerd, and the first question I always want to ask the indies is, how did you get started?
Started creating or started reading comics?
Well, obviously, you've probably been reading comic books since you were a kid.
Yeah.
So that's when most of us start.
Uh-huh.
So what finally kicked you in the butt and made you want to start creating and thinking you actually had a chance to do it?
Well, it wasn't one thing. It was like a series of things. I remember back, one of the points was, when Marvel made, Captain America a Nazi pretty much.
Oh man, I remember
that. That really just really upset me. And it's pretty much been downhill since then. But that was I remember that was a red letter date for me. One more day. What they did with Spider-Man. What DC did with New 52. I mean, it was a whole series of decisions made by DC and Marvel that kind of got me rolling, and the more stuff they did, the more motivated I became to make my own stuff.
See, I like that. Okay, so this is what we've always been telling people. It's if you don't like what's being made, go make your own, and that's what you guys did.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do, and it's just also things like the movies, what Zack Snyder did with Superman and Man of Steel, and it's a whole lot of things. It's what's happened with Star Wars. It's the video game industry too, like
yes.
I'm a big gamer myself, and the three titles that I've enjoyed this year the most have been Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, and Space Marine 2. Those are the games I'm playing right now.
Those are all good games. Those are all really good games.
But it's everywhere. It's Hollywood. It's the comic book industry. It's the video game industry. It's just everything. And they don't care about these iconic characters or these iconic stories. They care about other things like agendas and stuff.
Yes.
And they don't know how to write real heroes anymore. They write these narcissistic, self-insert characters. They care more about telling stuff about their agenda than being true to the character, to the spirit of these universes, and all of that just accumulated. Like, I'm just like Thanos from the MCU. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what? You guys landed in the right place, because that's definitely what we're all about. Because we've been saying that for years, and it's like I tell people every week or so. It's we don't get mad about Star Wars or about
I used to get mad. Like there was a time where every news story that I read on online about what they did to Star Wars or DC or Marvel or Doctor Who or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just made me angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier. And at one point, I'm like, you know what? This is never going to change. They're never going to stop. It's just going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. So now I've kind of become indifferent to it all.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point of indifference. But it's like I was trying to say. It's like, you know, we don't get mad about this stuff because we hate it. We get mad about this stuff because we love it and we don't like what's happened to it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because we're fans. We're the real fans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they don't see it that way. They see us as a threat, and they attack us every chance they get.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Preach it to the choir, my friend. Definitely.
Did you have something to say, Stefan?
Yeah. I kind of have to agree there. At this point, it's a lot easier. At this point, it's a lot easier to just you know try and make your own quality stories than counting on the industry to make any change on its own.
Your microphone is kind of cutting in and out, Stefan.
No, that's actually me. Sorry. All right.
Oh, okay.
A bit of a, sometimes I get a little excited. I start my speech starts cutting out like that.
Oh, okay. Well, usually what I do is I kind of eat my microphone a little bit, and that helps. I'm serious, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I don't know how much of this stuff, you know, I almost kind of wonder if it didn't all start happening from the 90s speculation markets, because at that point, comic books stopped being about entertainment and start being about corporatization, and it started being more about trying to make money by any means necessary, you know, with the variant covers and the foils.
Yeah, that's still kind of a problem today. I know. I love a lot of Dynamite comics, and they're great. They put out some decent stuff, but like Dynamite comics, they have like 20 variant covers for like their issues. I'm like, why do you need so many variant covers? It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, they can always, you know, proclaim that, you know, if they put out 7 or 8 different variants, they can always count all of those against their sales and stuff, and their sales figures.
We sold this many copies of this. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because you're
keep cover artists employed. So
there is that. I mean, you know. And I'm not saying that Dynamite's actually doing some decent stuff. I like their Space Ghost comic is good. The Thundercats comic has been decent. They're doing a Johnny Quest comic that looks pretty good. So it's not as if they're putting out bad stuff. It's just I don't know why they need so many variant covers though. So
yeah, it sounds too cumbersome. What's wrong with just like 2 or 3 at most?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Like one special variant, and then like one for like an upcoming holiday or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like a variant cover or two myself. I mean, it depends on who the artist is, but can I live without it? Yeah, absolutely, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, does it add value to the comic book? It's kind of debatable.
I mean, to me, it's all about the story on the inside of the book. That's what I really care about. That's what really matters to me.
Yeah. To me, the variant covers only matter if you're planning on, like, you know, enshrining them in some kind of unsealable plastic and putting them up on a shelf or something where they'll never be opened and they'll never, you know, you never crack the spine on the book at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not that kind of collector.
No.
Right.
I got through all that stuff. I think the worst I ever got was I think I bought like 10 copies of X-Force #1.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all I still kept them in their plastic sealed wraps with their foil cards and all that stuff. And you know, because everybody kept telling me, "Oh yeah, it's a #1. This is going to sell tons and tons." And you know, stupid me.
Yeah.
But I bought into it just like everybody else did back in the speculation market.
Yeah, the 90s was an interesting time for comics for sure.
Mm-hmm. But I almost kind of think like I think that was kind of like the start of all the corporatization of comic books, and that's kind of when we started seeing the markets start shifting towards comic books as, I don't know, less of a storytelling medium and more as a commercial medium.
Yeah, it was all about crossovers and events and
mm-hmm.
in books, and you gotta buy this issue of that comic and that issue of that comic to understand the story in this comic. Yeah.
Kind of like how they are with the movies now.
Yeah, with the cinematic universes now. Yeah. It's a lot like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, if you want to know what happened in this movie, you had to have gone back and watched this holiday special, or you had to have seen this series to see it built. I mean, nothing pissed me off worse than, getting into the theater to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was one of 2 MCU movies I actually watched in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched 2. I mean, it's pretty much after the Infinity War saga stopped. I stopped watching Marvel movies because they all came out and they all just look like trash. One piece of trash after another. But I did watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and I loved that.
Yeah, that was decent. I did, and Guardians 3 was decent. Also, wasn't bad. But yeah, you'd have to watch the holiday special to understand everything in it. Yeah,
exactly, and that's what made me so mad. I went to go watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because I loved 1 and 2. And they were just kind of like, yeah, if you didn't watch the holiday special, then you're not going to understand what happened. And I'm just kind of like, this is dumb. Why would you do this? Yeah. it just totally makes it.
So you basically you have to have Disney Plus in order to watch the holiday special to watch the movie and understand it.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm not going to do that because most of the Disney Plus stuff is terrible. I mean, does anybody out there in the audience, whether you're watching this on the replay or whether you're watching this live right now, are any of you guys excited about Agatha? Seriously? Is that what really, I mean, I think I'd rather smash my thumb with a hammer repeatedly than watch Agatha. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe Acolyte is worse than Agatha. I don't know. It's kind of debatable which one's worse.
Oh snap! That's comparing contrast. Which was the worst between those two?
I mean, yeah. and then you have to put in there what Rings of Power, maybe as a third contender. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! I haven't even shown Grim Rings of Power yet because I don't want to upset him. But I'll say this. Between Agatha All Along and Acolyte, I would probably say Agatha is probably the more watchable of the two, only because it doesn't destroy so much of the lore and the canon, and it doesn't divide the fan base up even worse than what it already does.
Yeah, pretty much, because like the MCU's been trash for a while now, so you can't expect like, oh, it's another trash show.
Yeah,
how surprising! I mean, yeah,
it's a trash show with a throwaway character and a throwaway story that really doesn't matter in the grand scope of the MCU. Whereas Acolyte decided, hey, we're going to have a story that's set back in time that fundamentally changes so much of the lore going forward that it totally redefines a lot of Star Wars lore and canon.
Right.
And it does it terribly. So,
what a Squid Games guy.
I mean, but let's talk about your stuff. Okay, so you have a Kickstarter called Tales to Inspire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so
I'm gonna put that up for you.
Yeah, great, thanks. So, but what it is, it's an anthology. I drew inspiration from like, things like the stuff that Marvel used to do, like Tales to Astonish or Amazing Tales, or things like DC had a comic called Adventure Comics with which had like 4 feature characters like Wonder Woman and the Spectre and Green Lantern, and they would tell short stories within like a giant size, different tales, different short stories based on the character. So I had this idea where like I would take my character, which is Paragon Prime, and I would try to pair him up with other characters from other creators to create an anthology. So I sought out other creators like Stefan here and Tyson, creator of Rebound, and Chris, creator of Data Cell. And what I want to do is I wanted to create an anthology that was all about heroism and true, genuine, hopeful heroism, but I wanted a variety of different types of characters, of different types of stories. So with Rizerman, why don't you take this one, Stefan, since he is your creation?
Right.
All right. Right. Rizerman, the brilliant star that shines through the night, the surge of power that jumpstarts justice. One bit of an introduction I used to do when I showcased the character. Yeah, Rizerman. Yeah, Rizerman is a superhero that was inspired by, with a bit more of a Japanese influence as well as comic book sort of influence.
Yeah, things like Kamen Rider and
I'm
sure
you heard like the not sure you heard like the tokusatsu genre that's in Japan, and basically those live action superhero shows.
Absolutely. Yeah, we watch all those things.
Well, it's a shame Coster isn't here. That's
Spider-Man was one of the first adapted superhero shows for tokusatsu.
Yeah. Castor would have been really good on this, but
yeah, he's doing really great stuff, and I saw his stuff like that. That's a page from his comic right there that you're looking at. So you could tell it has that look. It looks a lot like old anime, like Gatchaman. It reminds me of Gatchaman a little bit. It reminds me of stuff like Cyborg 009.
Yeah, it's definitely got some really strong Astro Boy, Cyborg 009 influences. I can see.
Coincidentally, the guy that made Kamen Rider also made Cyborg 009. Some of those early superhero mangas.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw his character and I was like, "Ooh, this is really cool. This is really interesting. This would bring a really different flavor to the anthology while still keeping that theme of heroism, So I sought him out. I asked him, "Would you be interested in becoming a part of this anthology?" And he was like, "All for it." And then he got with an artist, and this is the result. And I think it's amazing work. I mean, the colors just really pop. The art is really good. It really captures that manga anime kind of feel from like the 70s or the 80s,
Mm-hmm. So turns out Japan has quite an appreciation for traditional superhero tales. I kind of wanted to showcase the best of both worlds with Rizerman.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one in particular. It's really great stuff, and yeah, so I like the scarf and everything. It's a really cool character.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of show you where we're at with this. Oh, hey, our special guest did show up. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going all right. How are you?
I'm great. I am so sorry that we got to you so late, my man. It's just I've had all kinds of stuff happening today that have just been keeping me from doing what I need to do. But I'm glad you made it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's been a stressful day.
It has, and oh my gosh, look, we got Ironcaster finally showing up too. We actually have a real panel now, guys. We have dudes who can actually really, plumb your noggin for some really good questions.
All right.
I was busy reading Witchblade.
Well, I've got the question. So you went for an anthology comic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here in the UK, that's the kind of comic that we're used to, really, whether it's kids' comics like the Beano or whether it's 2000 AD or the Judge Dredd magazine. But whenever I've talked to people on the other side of the pond about anthology comics, they always seem to think it's a bad idea and won't sell, and it's not what people are used to.
Really?
So,
I hadn't heard that. I don't know. That's not something I'd heard or a sentiment that anybody expressed to me in any way. I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant about that, but I've never heard that.
It's an idea that I've been trying to push for more myself. That I think that, especially with the major two publishers, like it has a lot of potential for being able to push some lesser known characters up while still kind of being able to bank on a character that does sell. I've talked with people about doing just that, and guys like Clobberin Times, which R.I.P.
Yes,
he wasn't really in favor of the idea, and that was coming from someone who was a former comic book shop owner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the idea that idea against it just goes heavy for whatever reason.
I don't know. I always thought it was a really neat idea. I've known a couple of other creators that have done it. Dave Brink from Genuine Comics, he does Power Trip, and actually won his first issue of Power Trip, which was an anthology that had probably one of my favorite characters that he's done, called American Bliss, and that character started off in that anthology, and he decided to spin her off into her own book, and I was part of that. I was really bugging him about it. Like, this character needs her own book. This character needs her own book. She's awesome. She's amazing. And then another buddy of mine, Jared Bricky, he was part of the Out of Obscurity anthology, So I always loved anthology. I love shows like Twilight Zone and Hitchcock Presents, and I've always kind of liked it. I don't know why. And DC used to do a comic back in the day called Adventure Comics, which is an anthology. It was in the 80s, I think, right? I thought that was a really cool idea, different stories featuring different characters, and I want to do it with different creators.
Yeah, and if you don't like one story, you turn a few pages, you're into another story,
right.
which is I like. It's kind of like hedging your bets. I guess it makes sense for indie creators as well, kind of like doing collaborations on YouTube, because you can bring each other's audiences to the same thing and get that kind of cross promotion going.
Exactly. Which, by the way, guys, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to introduce you to Alexander McCree's, who is
turning into a werewolf.
Adjacent to a loud puppy. Yes. So, Maximus, say hello to everyone.
But Alex has created a superhero role-playing game that is, in my opinion, probably like far and beyond like one of the best researched and worked out superhero role-playing games I've ever seen. But not only that, but he made comic books based on his adventures in the role-playing games that are just really spectacular.
It's funny you should say that, because my character Paragon Prime actually started off as a character that I created back when I was playing DC Universe Online.
Oh, well, there you go. See?
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of anthologies, don't a lot of the mangas start off in anthologies? Like there's like these weekly magazines.
Yeah, I think the Shonen Jump magazine, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it would be surprising to me if maybe older Americans don't like anthologies, but I've got to imagine that like the Gen Alpha manga loving types are going to be completely familiar with like an anthology concept. The real problem is that they're going to expect you to have another one the next month and another one the next month and to continue doing it for like 200 issues.
Wow.
That would be awesome, though.
That, but yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, but
that would be the dream.
Yeah.
Then they're going to complain about the anime adaptation, and then, then bitch that Netflix miscast all the characters. It just gets out of control.
Oh yeah. Well, wouldn't you love to have those levels of success, though? That would be that's the dream.
I mean, yeah, it's funny because like if I find that level of success if like Netflix or Amazon comes to me saying, "Oh, we want to adapt your thing into a show." I'm just like, "No, I don't trust you. Like, there's no way."
So I had this conversation with my investor who backed my comic book company, and I was like, if Netflix comes to us and they want to like adapt the comic book in a way that we know is going to ruin the story and the characters, we're going to turn it down, right? And my investor's like, "No, don't be a moron. Take the money."
Oh man!
I mean, I had a backup plan.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, you can always make more characters, I suppose. I mean,
well, his thinking was that people tend to seek out the comics of shows that go on Netflix, and then they can be exposed to the real thing. It doesn't hamper you from continuing to do what you're already doing. It just grows your audience. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, Caster, I'm glad you're here because I wanted to showcase some of Neostar's stuff here because
immediately I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the Cyborg 009 inspiration, a lot of that 70s manga.
Yeah,
I knew you would, but then how about this? Is that Kamen Rider?
I'm getting a little bit of that Kung Fu Bugman vibe.
See, I'm getting a touch of I'm getting a touch of French comics like Valerian.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you should mention French comics because I kind of got into Lupin the Third, and Lupin the Third feels like it's a French comic. I don't know if anybody
Monkey Punch.
Yeah,
it does have that vibe to it, almost like 10-10 or something.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the vibe I definitely got was let's see. Here we go.
You're just saying, aren't you?
Gotcha Man.
Yeah.
Definitely Gotcha Man vibes.
Yeah. Have you been reading the new Matt Cave comic?
I have not. Like I said, I haven't really read a lot of comic books here lately, except for every once in a while I'll find a Kickstarter that I really like, and I will back it and enjoy it. Yeah. But they're so few and far between.
I'm reading some interesting. The Mad Cave Gotcha Man comic is actually pretty good. Huh. I've also been reading. Have you guys, any of you heard of the I Like Popeye comic?
No.
No? I haven't. Oh, man, you need to check that out. Yeah, okay, so you are reading it. Cool. Yeah.
He is.
So I Like Popeye, basically, it's by Marcus Williams, who's an incredibly talented artist. And basically, his idea was, what if we took Popeye the Sailor and mix it with like the energy and the action and the vibe of something like Dragon Ball Z, or
well, that sounds dope.
Naruto, and it actually really, really works. I thought it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be a good mesh. It actually works really well. So yeah, this is our campaign page.
Yeah, and the other reason I asked Alex to come onto the panel is because I showed him the Kickstarter page first, and I said, what I think would interest me in bringing you on is the fact that because these guys want to get into the original old school essence of heroism comic books, free of all the modern day politics and things like that, I figured Alex would be interested in this. Because of that, because I think he also shares a lot of the same values that we do on these.
Yeah, that jumped out at me more than anything else. I'm not as familiar with some of the comics that have inspired it, but the fact that the whole anthology is intended to be aspirational heroes that are actually real champions of what's good, rather than the anti-villains or anti-heroes or villains we get from most comics today, or woke scolds, right? Like those are my three options: anti-hero, villain, or woke scold. It's really tiresome.
Yeah.
So
I still like anti-heroes.
Well, I mean, anti-heroes have their place.
Yeah, I like anti-heroes too, but not when it's the only thing on the menu. I mean, I like pizza, but I don't want to eat pizza every night.
Right, you don't necessarily want every character to be an anti-hero. Like, we don't want to necessarily turn around and like have Spider-Man and Deadpool and Batman and Captain America and Superman all being anti-heroes. It's like,
exactly.
We got to be able to have those classic characters.
You could have your Red Hoods, your Wolverines, your Punishers.
Well,
Exactly.
everybody knows that I'm a huge Punisher fan. So
I have a quick question: Is it Tales to Aspire or Tales to Inspire? Because I've seen.
Well, yeah. The thing is, it's funny because it used to be called Tales to Aspire, but we changed the title to Tales to Inspire. So, yeah.
Okay, but now you're stuck with the old title. I've had that happen to me.
Yeah, exactly. For the link, like, I don't know how to change that. So,
yeah.
But Chris Vail, who's the creator of one of the other characters, which is Data Cell, he did, it's really cyberpunky kind of feel with his character in his comic, and he's also the only one with a female character, so I need to bring in some cool female representation stuff with a really cool cyberpunk character. It gives it another unique flavor. That's something different from any of the other stories, but still has that overall heroism to it. So, and then Rebound, and then Rebound was a character created by a buddy of mine, Tyson. I also edited his comic book, and his major influence were Bronze Age Spider-Man comics. I mean, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to checking out Rebound.
Is he a jumper basically instead of a web crawler? He jumps.
Yes. Yeah, it's very jumper. His power is based on I don't remember. But it's like he bounced off surfaces and
Speedball.
He was terrible. Like Speedball.
So a non-terrible Speedball.
So I'm like mentally building these characters in Ascendant as I look at them. So how strong
I knew you would be.
is Paragon Prime? Like how much can he lift?
I would say Paragon Prime is about as strong as Spider-Man at his strongest.
Okay. About 75 tons.
I don't want to have him be OP like Hulk or Superman or something like that.
Right. And how far can Rebound jump?
That you would have to ask the creator. He's not here with us right now. I don't know the specifics of how his powers work.
All right.
I'm just scrolling through the artwork that was sent over, so you guys can take a look at.
Yeah, this is Data Cell, and this one's gonna be in black and white. So
that's a brave move to mix a black and white in with a full color anthology.
Yeah, well, we're taking risks.
Yeah, people are gonna love that or hate that. Guaranteed, you're gonna have some person that's gonna show up in your comments and be like, "I wish you had made the whole thing black and white. It's a better medium."
Or vice versa.
Yeah, traditional
100%
color.
Yep.
Why
the color guys
not using black and white.
I get the color guys. They're like, hey, color, whatever, blah blah. But the ones that are like, why isn't it all in black and white? I get that on my my RPGs sometimes. Like, we'll spend all this money to do a full color painting, and they'll be like, why didn't you just do a black and white image? It's better.
Yeah, see, 2000 AD is an anthology comic at the moment. They're mixing color and black and white because they're doing some stories that are like flashbacks to old stories, and so they use the black and white.
That's cool.
For that.
That's an anthology.
The old comics.
Yeah, that's an anthology set in the Judge Dredd universe, right?
That's cool.
It's not all set in that universe, but a lot of it is. Yeah. Right. So they've got Rogue Trooper, which is going to be a film at some point, but that's basically a future war comic, which was more popular back in the day when they printed on black and white newsprint. So they've done it in black and white now.
I wouldn't hold my breath too much on that movie because it's been like in the works for like 15 years now.
Oh yeah.
they say there's progress. We shall see.
Who knows?
Slain next.
But yeah, my character is more traditional Captain America / Superman kind of character. My major influences, the basic stuff, but one of my major influences was actually Superman the Anime Series.
Oh wow!
Where I draw a lot of my influences, a lot of my characters, my character ideas, and my story ideas.
Definitely see it in the art style too. It has that kind of animated universe art style.
And I want to do that.
Yeah, I would love to Prime animated.
Yeah, the Icons RPG did that style, and it was really successful. People, I think, really like. I think the guys that are like buying comics and RPGs were right of the right age to have enjoyed those animated series. Like,
yeah,
I
love a lot of those superhero animated shows from the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff.
Yep.
Like
Batman, the animated series,
Batman, Superman, Justice League. Batman Beyond, that sort of thing. Great stuff. And Marvel had some decent stuff too, like Spectacular Spider-Man was really good. Avengers vs. Mightiest Heroes was really good.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That DC animated style was kind of harking back to the 1930s cartoons, in its own
right.
way.
I recently got the Blu-ray of the Fleischer Superman cartoon.
Oh,
they're amazing. They're so good.
Yes, the animation on those is amazing.
Yeah.
This looks like
I still like it where he's. I like it where he's punching the laser beam.
Yeah, great stuff. I just got my nephew to start watching those.
I could just punch it.
So whenever he comes back in my room and hang out, he's like, Superman. Okay,
it's funny because I feel the earlier ones were better than the later ones. The later ones kind of went into a war propaganda a lot. In the later episodes.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, there was sort of a second wave of those that did come along that did do that. As I understand it, it was like basically like a second round of them that had happened. I think a different leadership took over the Fleischer Studios at that point. So it's like literally just different mentality went into those, and well, the U.S. government is willing to pay for propaganda, so
yeah, it was a lot of that. So I felt the earlier ones were better, than the later ones, but still they were all really good though.
Well, this is my question, and this is probably a little late in the show to start asking a question like this, but this is one I think will resonate with everybody when I ask this. But I am obviously I'm a huge fan of Alan Moore, and like everybody else, I really, really loved the Watchmen comic. I thought it was incredible. There was nothing like it at the time. The way it deconstructed and examined all the social issues and all the narratives and things surrounding the heroes was so fresh and so different. The only thing I've seen since then, though, unfortunately, is since that time, everybody has gone deconstructionist on heroes, and I think it's kind of affected things.
Thank you so much for saying that, because that's exactly how I feel, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this anthology. It's part of the reason I created the character in the first place, because you realize that there's no TV show based on superheroes that's not a deconstruction of some kind. There's The Boys, there's Invincible, which is really, 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 really violent, and there's Harley Quinn show, and all these shows exist, and there's no traditional superhero media and TV out there.
Yeah, it's ultimately just because of the sheer success of The Watchmen as one of those big things that happened, because you throw that in with sort of that the gritty and the edgy 90s where everything is trying to be that way. Like they broke Batman's back, Superman was killed, all these things just to try to make things shocking, and it's just it in a way it forever broke comics, and they've unfortunately never really been able to recover from them, because that was also like when we had all the speculator booms, and that was like everyone goes back to that as seeing that as the peaks of comics, because people were buying books they were never going to read.
Also Frank Miller with The Dark Knight Returns is the same thing.
Although the Dark Knight Returns is less deconstructive than Watchmen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Oh, go ahead. No, you go, Grant.
I was going to say, this is why I find Grant Morrison so interesting, because he participated in the deconstruction and did it very well, but then he's also taken to a sort of reconstruction of the characters, particularly Superman.
Yeah, with All-Star Superman is one of the
and then Warren Ellis as well. He did the deconstruction and then he attempted a reconstruction. He's also done sort of comics archaeology through Planetary to sort of re-examine these originating myths in an interesting way that isn't really either. It's just something different.
What I find interesting is that I recently found out that Mark Millar has been trying to say something about Reconstruction, even though he's one of the guiltier ones when it comes to that.
Yeah.
He has been doing some amazing wonders. Like Mark Millar is a guy who managed to break out of comics. He's got the Netflix deal, but he still goes to comics as a passion. Like some of his stuff is superb. Like if you haven't had a chance to read it, go read Huck. This is one of the best books that I think Mark Millar has done.
Is that based on Huckleberry Finn?
It's basically this idea of like that very kind of down to earth Superman sort of character being discovered by a wider world that wants to do nothing but use and abuse him.
Okay.
J. Michael Straczynski did the same thing. When he did, because Michael J. Straczynski, he redid. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the names of them, but he did Hyperion, and all of those characters. He redid them, and I collected all those, and basically it was. Hyperion had the entire Superman story, the baby rockets to Earth from the doomed planet and everything, and is saved by the farmer people, and is going to be adopted. And that's how the comic book starts. But then all of a sudden, it's like a couple of panels later, it's like all these government black ops agencies show up, just seize the child and kidnap the parents. And secret the child away to be raised in a government facility because he's basically the most powerful thing they've ever seen. And
right,
yeah.
Hey, Hero Geek, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
In your comic world, do the real world comics, DC, Marvel, etc., exist? The reason I ask is that when they created the Walking Dead comic, they made the decision that George Romero had never made zombie movies in their version of the world, which is why people were surprised when the zombie apocalypse began. And that's why they're called, walkers rather than zombies. I thought that was really clever, right? Like the difference when his world actually started in the 1960s when zombies never became a thing. Because if you do zombie fiction when zombies are already a thing, then it's very kind of postmodern and everybody knows what zombies are. So I'm kind of curious, like, does Paragon Prime exist in a world where kids have grown up watching DC and Marvel, or does he exist in a world where he's the first superhero, or superheroes have been around forever, or what? Like, how did you go on that direction?
Well, I never thought about like having DC and Marvel be a thing in my universe. But the way it works, there was a golden age of heroes, so back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s, and then that kind of ended through events, and then Paragon Prime is a resurgence of the heroic age kind of thing.
Okay, so basically, you took the position that when superhero comics became real in our world, superheroes became real in your world.
Yeah, so the golden age character, the main one that I'm going to focus on, his name is Major Might. And he's like, the Captain America back in the 40s, but he had his own, Saturday morning cereal, his own cartoon, his own merch, and my character was a fan of his,
right?
Right. So in my world, he sacrificed himself to save the world, and that happened in the 60s. In my world, my world is like a real. It's not like fictional cities like DC with like Metropolis or Gotham.
Yeah.
So it's more like Marvel. Although I decided to not set it in New York because I just didn't want to. So my main city is Washington DC.
Ah, okay.
And then my Batman character is in Chicago.
So he does the right thing and just lets Washington DC burn to the ground then.
Right.
That's the heroic tale.
Well, yeah, in my world, I don't do a lot of real world politics.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I know. Yeah, I don't have Trump as MODOK or anything like that. No.
His name is MODOK. He is America's king.
Oh my gosh.
For killing.
I take both from everything I take from DC and I take from Marvel. Like, for example, the villain that he fights in the story, his name is Power Surge, and basically he's like I took Captain Cold from Flash and Electro from Spider-Man and kind of mixed them together.
Yep.
So
I love amalgamations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you discussed this already? What's Paragon Prime's origin?
Or
is that the story? Is it an origin story?
No, this is not an origin story. This is basically when he's already been established as a hero, so he's been around for a while. I'm right now working on a script for writing the origin story, and that's going to be its own campaign, its own separate campaign later on. So I'm working on that right now with a co-writer, Jared Bricky. He's brilliant. Yeah,
consider me back for that one.
It's basically a scientific accident kind of origin.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of origin of most of your heroes? Do you have a trend like mutants or?
No, I don't have mutants, anything like mutants in my universe. Yeah, although that could change, But I have the scientific accident. Unbreakable is a great movie. I like that movie a lot. The first one.
Yeah.
Because the Glass one, that was trash. I did not.
Oh no, that was
at all.
That was terrible.
I actually never thought about it yet, honestly.
No, Glass was pretty horrible. Glass kind of undid everything that was good about the first two films.
Right. Yeah.
But
Paragon Prime, he's basically a mix of Superman, Captain America, a little Hank Pym because he's a scientist too, so he's an inventor as well. So a little Reed Richards, a little Hank Pym.
You could literally never get away with naming a character Pimp in today's world. No way.
No.
I'm not gonna kid you guys though. One of my favorite superhero movies of all time, and I know some of you guys are gonna like what, but is The Mystery Men.
What?
Yeah, I like that movie. That's a fun. I think
it's fun.
Movie.
It's a great. It's a fun movie. I love the
superhero films. Like most of my family at the same time.
I love the guy that always speaks in like bad poetry.
The Sphinx. Oh. Oh my. Hold on. I don't know if I still have it. I may have gotten rid of it, but I think I may still have it. Let me see.
I might have to find my own copy too.
Oh, here we go.
Why am I doing this again?
When you can balance attack hammer on your head, you will head off your foes with a balanced attack.
And why am I wearing the watermelon on my feet?
I don't remember telling you to do that.
Oh man, so good.
I love that movie.
Yeah, but I gotta say my favorite Ben Stiller movie has to still be Tropic Thunder, though.
Absolutely,
that was a good one. Yeah,
great movie.
I'm a lead farmer.
Yep,
mine is still Zoolander.
Yeah.
I'm just a dude playing a dude pretending to be another dude.
Yes. Oh my god, that was good.
Such a good movie.
It was such a good
movie. One of my favorite
yeah.
superhero movies is The Specials from 2000, I think.
I have to see that one.
Yeah, it's really funny.
I only recently saw Sky High like last year, and that wasn't terrible.
No, it's not terrible. I thought it was pretty good.
Actually, a pretty decent one, actually.
Coach Boomer.
Yes, Coach Boomer.
This is Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
Campbell. Yeah.
But I almost kind of think that if you're going to do a superhero comic book and you're going to try to get the whole essence of the superheroic genre, you almost have to steer clear of kind of like a certain depth of politics and real world issues.
Yeah, you have to. Like, I mean, my main universe stuff is set in Washington D.C., and I have a president there, but I'm gonna like not indicate whether he's what party he belongs to or anything like that. I'm going to keep that very vague, very subtle.
Yeah, in Star Spangled Squadron, I created a president who's a combination of Clinton and Trump. I called him Dick Flush, and he selected the nation's superheroes based on how attractive they were, which is my excuse why all of them are really good looking and the women are all in scanty outfits.
I love that.
There's more to being a superhero than being really, really ridiculously good looking.
well, I mean, that is one thing that Mystery Men did get right, though, was the fact that what's his name is like Captain Amazing had he had all those superhero sponsorships.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So you think about it, it's like, yeah, I mean, what kind of superhero wouldn't be out there, and like Elon would have been calling up, was like, hey,
oh my God, can you imagine?
Can we put a Tesla sign on your on your armor or something? Yeah.
Right.
On your cape or something.
Yeah.
So how classic did you go, Hero Geek? Does he have a secret identity?
He does. Yes. Yeah, he does.
Classic.
Yeah, I'm working on how to make that work. I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to run by my co-writer, but yeah. So, yeah, the whole Clark Kent Superman thing, yeah, I have that going on. The Peter Parker Spider-Man vibe.
He's not Lance. Lance wears glasses.
I even have the double iteration for some of the names, like his real name is Duncan Dobbs.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
See, he's like, every time you mention anything superheroes, I could keep pulling it back to Mystery Men because that movie did it so well.
I'm always suspicious of people I meet in real life who have the alliterative names.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm very suspicious of them. Yeah. Did you guys see Chronicle? It was like a 2012, 2010 movie about three kids, three teenagers.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
That's like the found footage kind of movie, right?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite superhero movies. So good. So good.
Well, you'll be happy to know Razor Man happens to have telekinetic powers.
Yeah, that would be one of my top powers to get, would be telekinesis.
It would.
I'm a big fan of teleportation, like Nightcrawler. Like,
oh yeah,
even better.
Yeah.
If I had global teleportation, I'd get like fresh sushi from Japan every day.
Like movie Jumper with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, Jumper. Yeah.
That. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
That's the only power I really want.
Portals. That's also good.
For me, it's telekinesis or mind control.
Mind control. Oh, mind control is dangerous. No, come on.
Yeah, you're almost always a villain if you have mind control.
Jedi have mind control. They're not villains.
True.
They have limited mind control.
How do you know?
I don't know.
See, I'd rather be able to make portals, not just teleport, because then I could just we got my groceries at the store rather than having to teleport it all home each and every single bag. You just kind of
you can bring a suitcase with you while you're trying.
Well, right, but what if you have the ability to just touch all the bags of groceries and teleport them to your kitchen?
Or just bring a speedster with you, have them touch everything at once and then teleport.
I take stretching powers, ladies.
Stretching?
That's actually pretty effective. I'm not going. I watched a lot of Plastic Man cartoons.
It's an old joke from How to Be a Superhero. The guys with stretching powers get all the girls. So.
Well, I mean, Plastic Man is the only superhero that Batman is afraid of. That's canon.
Yeah.
That is canon because it's like literally, he said if Plastic Man wanted to, he could kill everybody because all he has got to do is turn himself into an atomic bomb or something, and he could kill everyone.
What about Elongated Man? He has the same power.
Somebody and just implode them.
Yeah.
Well, I think Plastic Man is actually more powerful because he could create complex parts and things inside of himself.
Constructs in a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, he's been able to reshape himself down to the atomic level, so he's got an incredible depth of
T-1000.
It's just balanced out by the fact that he's kind of insane and then doesn't really use his powers for bad things.
Right.
But I don't know.
So it's
Anyway,
we got one for shrinking. We have what, 2 for teleport, 1 for telekinesis. Was that everyone's votes?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we could go the boring route and say like flight. I would love to fly, but everybody loves that one.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
telekinesis includes flight. 'Cause you can telekinesis yourself.
True.
Yeah, telekinesis is basically like byproduct of levitation. If you can lift like a I don't know, a small car, you should be able to lift yourself with it.
Exactly.
We played GURPS back in the day. We played GURPS Supers, and my friend was always managing to min-max the rules to make himself into Superman, but he did it with telekinesis. So basically when he would pick up heavy stuff, it would be, it looks like he's picking it up, but it's his telekinetic power that's doing it, or his flight is telekinetic and everything else. So
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can imitate a lot of power through telekinesis.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's only a small extent. It's still plausible.
And by the way, Alex, I don't know if I said this before, but I still love the fact that on your time scales, you rated the George R.R. Martin novels.
So, for those of you who haven't seen Ascendant, he's referencing the chart in the book of superhero scales of time and distance and speed and strength. So the highest tier of time in the game is the George R. Martin publishing schedule.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
man. I think everybody stopped bragging from showing up like George R. Martin.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't worry, which is eventually.
His time control is so powerful. He got the book into production.
Oh my God.
Good God.
Well, it's kind of sad because, the one thing we do have to remember George R. R. Martin did was superhero genre stuff, because he did Wild Cards, and that was great.
No, I haven't read Wild Cards. You recommend it? It's good?
I thought it was really pretty fun. Now, I've only read some of the stories, but like the Amazing Turtle and all those characters, that was good stuff. I enjoyed it. And they're short stories.
GURPS Supers or something like that.
It was based on Superworld.
Superworld. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which I have a friend who actually has a copy of that still in the box.
Wow.
After all this time.
Wow. That's old school. That's OG.
Big time OG. But yeah, I was shocked whenever he showed it to me. I was like, oh, you know what this is worth?
I have a question for Stefan. Stefan, do you plan, what are your plans for Rizerman after the anthology? Like, do you plan to spin him off into his own comic? I want to know.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've been working on some Riser Man stories in the background as of late.
That's great.
I did technically have a Riser Man comic beforehand, and the granted it was a collaboration with a web comic, but it is still a full superhero Riser Man story of him taking on a villain and his killer robot.
Awesome. And now I'm hoping that you have the same artist, because his stuff.
Oh my God! This is from the Ascended core rule book.
Yeah.
Oh snap!
Winter. 2011, really? Is that how long it's been?
Yep.
Wow.
It's 2024 and it's still not ready.
Well,
that's insane.
I don't think he wants to finish it anymore.
No, I don't think he does either, actually. I think he knows no matter what he writes, it's not going to be as good as the things he used to write, and he doesn't. He's written himself into a corner. He's better off just not finishing it. Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. He's going to die, and then Kevin J. Anderson is going to knock out one book a week.
Like he did with Dune? Like he did with Dune books? Yeah.
It'll be terrible, but it'll be finished.
True.
I mean, I think he said in his will that he's putting in his will that you're not allowed to finish the series if he doesn't finish it.
Yeah, that won't last.
Wouldn't it be great if Jared Tolkien came back from the grave and finished it?
Right.
Oh, well, I think the first thing he'd do is walk up and punch the showrunners for Rings of Power right in the nose.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine?
He came back from the dead and ate the brains of everyone at Netflix. That's what would.
He's a white.
He needs to see if Brandon Sanderson wants some more money. Just like, hey,
have you guys heard of this rumor that Disney's going to be doing the Chronicles of Narnia and taking all the Christian stuff out of it?
Really? I wouldn't surprise me, but
I mean, we kind of know they are doing it in Chronicles of Narnia, but we'll see if they're going to be actually taking the Christian allegory out of
themes.
Lewis's work.
Yeah,
it only gets really obnoxious in the last 2 books, so I think they'd be fine with the rest of it, leaving it as is. To be honest,
Aslan will be played by a lesbian Muslim.
Oh God.
No, I love the movies, especially the first one. It was really good, really good.
Yeah,
Dawn Treader was good too.
Yeah, I liked all 3 of them. The first was still the best one, but Dawn Treader and Prince Caspian was pretty good too. I thought
they were. They were all the movies were actually pretty good. So.
I always felt bad for Susan though.
Two modern movies.
Yeah.
Heck, I seen like the original Chronicles of
like the BBC thing stuff, right? Like so they had on BBC back in the day.
Yeah.
Although
I do really want to see
those
ones they made.
I was thinking about this Narnia, right? Imagine you're actually these kids and you've spent 30 years ruling Narnia, and then you come back to the real world. Like, I think those kids would have serious psychological issues, right? You have to go back to school the next day, and the teacher's like, 4 plus 4 is 8.
Like what I'm wondering, do their minds revert back to the age that they were, or do they retain all the maturity that they went through all those years?
Well, okay.
Forget, apart from Lucy.
Yeah, I think they mostly forget and kind of remember it like a dream.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Well, even Lewis kind of had a clause in his books where it's he said that after you've gotten to a certain age, you can no longer enter the ward. You can no longer enter Narnia. And what he's basically referencing is, your loss of innocence and your childlike nature to be able to believe in those things.
Right. It's so sad.
It is. I mean, because Lord knows, man, I think about, how I was back when I was a kid versus how I am now, and world weary and skeptical and just wanted to all end. And
I'm a cynical jerk.
I mean,
it's interesting. I've gone the other way, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, I was a hard-nosed, like atheist, Darwinist, evolutionist, materialist. And now I'm like, it's all real. Like if the space aliens came down with Lucifer from the sky and said that there's a war with God going on, and I saw it on CNN tomorrow, I'd be like, that tracks.
That's basically the book Mission by Patrick Tilley.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like at this point, nothing metaphysical could surprise me. If a ghost showed up at my door, I would be like, okay, I think it's cool.
Okay.
YouTube.
Like,
Your
do you want to drink of water?
I don't know. I keep wishing space aliens would come, kidnap me just to, take me away for a little while.
Definitely.
Give you superpowers like the captain.
Or at least, fix all my ailments. That would be nice, That would be cool. It's like, hey, can you guys fix me before you put me back? Thanks.
Yep.
Sure, no problem. Beep.
It's easy for us, our technology. But anyway, guys, we're over on time. I just want to be mindful of everybody's time. So does anybody have any other questions or any comments or anything like that?
Well, I'm gonna get ready to go because I want dinner. I'm really hungry right now.
Okay. So, well then it's a good time to end.
But yeah, please, we need signups. We want to get to at least 100 signups before we launch. We want to launch the last week of October. These streams are helping, and I have 2 more lined up for next weekend.
Oh, for sure.
But it would be great if we got to 100 before like Halloween. That'd be awesome. If not, we might have to delay a little bit mid-November to launch the campaign. But I signed up. Cool. Thank you so much.
I signed up.
I'll drop a link on my Twitter and on my Discord.
That would be amazing. Wait till you guys see the launch trailer. I'm really excited about the launch trailer.
Yeah,
that I'm putting together with anime, and it's got a very. If you love the intro to Super Friends, you're gonna love this launch trailer. Really, that's all I gotta say.
All right. I mean, as long as the music is up to it, that's the main thing. The music does all the heavy lifting for a lot of
the music and the narration too. I mean, the narration too as well. But yeah, seriously, I wanted to have that retro vibe that the Super Friends intro is like. So I think
the world's most powerful heroes gathered all together in one place.
Exactly. That's the
kind of thing. Who just did that?
That was me.
Glorious.
Yeah. I got I can say this now, but I got Critical Blast. He did the voice and he did an amazing job.
Oh wow.
Over, yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna be putting that together soon. I'm really excited about the launch trailer. I think it's gonna bring a lot of really positive buzz. Yeah.
Awesome.
JP, yeah, he's gonna literally say, meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice. I remember those
superheroes.
I still like Mr. Freeze. This is kind of like, it took me 11 years to build the technology for this freeze ray, and there's 4 of you that have freeze rays too. What am I, just an asshole or something?
Keep that in tomato.
Yeah, you should just steal your powers like I did.
What I love about like one of the later ones, I think Challenges of Super Friends or something, you see Darkseid teaming up with Joker, and that always was really funny to me. Like Darkseid teaming up with the Joker, like what?
Like why?
I don't know. It's like I think one of the intros they're like they show up in like Darkseid's lair or whatever, and then Joker is there. Like, what's Joker doing there? It makes no sense to me. It always made me laugh though. But yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well, I'm gonna get going, but thank you guys for having me, and thank you for the signups, and thank you for the shout-outs that you're gonna be doing. That's gonna be a huge help.
All right.
Our pleasure.
All right.
It's happy to have you guys on, and again, a very special thank you to Alex McCree who came on, because I really wanted somebody who had a lot of comic book know-how and some Kickstarter experience to be on this panel.
Yeah, some great questions. I was really happy to answer them. It was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.
Later.
Y'all take care, everybody out there in YouTube land, and we'll see you on Tuesday for another week in Geek.
Goodbye and have a pleasant tomorrow.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.